Ed here with the Digital Digest, and today I wanted to share a quick unboxing and first look at the Lenovo ThinkPad X1 Fold. Now I'm excited to share this with all of you because this is the world's first laptop with a folding display. So if you've been waiting for an answer to the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 2 in the form of a laptop, you're about to see at least the world's first attempt by Lenovo. Fairly expensive, but that's to be expected. It ranges from a starting point of $2,500 US all the way up to $3,100, depending on your specific specifications, but they don't vary that much. And this was already opened. I just received it from Lenovo for review purposes, but I have not taken it out until at least what you're seeing on camera right now. Nothing else in the box, so let's get this thing out. Now, the Intel processor under the hood is a Lakefield processor, which is Intel's attempt at essentially emulating, or I should say competing really, with ARM processors, which are commonly found in smartphones and tablets alike. So, from a performance standpoint, this is a completely new offering from Intel, and we've got 8 gigs of RAM that are soldered onto this folding tablet. We also have a 256 gig SSD inside, the only thing that is upgradable, and that's really going to be one of the key differences with your specific configuration. And beyond that, the other things that you need to know is that there is an optional keyboard, and that keyboard pen combo is yet another one of the things that I really think you need in order to make this a complete device, or as complete as it can be. So right here out of the packaging, you see the 13.3-inch OLED display, 5 megapixel camera right there, the hinge, you can see the little joint right there, and it is covered by a leather wrap, essentially, that almost wraps all the way around, giving it a notebook look and feel, like a little hardcover book. Solid construction. It weighs a little over 2 pounds. You can see right here we've got a power button, volume rocker, Type-C port there, Type-C port here, ventilation. I mean, this is a first-generation product, and you should recognize that. And if you're looking for a value, this is not what you're going to be getting out of the X1 Fold. It's just not what it's designed to be at all. So let's go ahead and power it on, see if it has a charge. Looks like it does. I hear a fan kicking on. And, you know, this is the beauty of this device, is that it has that hinge. It gives you the ability to work with it as a full 13.3-inch display, or, and I believe Lenovo did give me the pen, yep, as well as the keyboard. Let's see. So we've got the pen right here. And that's the other interesting thing about this, is that this is the first, at least also folding display with pen input, something the Galaxy Z Fold is simply not capable of doing. So you've got a pen, and then we also have, let's see, a keyboard. Now, the keyboard is very small, but also pretty smart. And this reminds me a lot of what we saw from Microsoft with the anticipated Surface Neo, which unfortunately I think is delayed. Nothing else in this box. We still have to take a look at the charger. But the beauty of this tiny keyboard is that it magnetically attaches to the X1 Fold and essentially turns this into a traditional laptop. And you can see the screen just transitioned to only using the upper portion. And since this is a 13.3-inch display, you're now looking at a clamshell laptop that gives you a little over, I think, about a 9-inch display. And for those of you who are looking at this and saying, why would you want this? Well, I actually think this is incredibly cool. It reminds me of ultra mobile PCs, a segment that used to be incredibly popular that just doesn't exist anymore. You know, for a while, netbooks took over that space, and netbooks pretty much got phased out. But here we have just an amazing piece of technology. The display looks very good. It is reflective, but I'm going to test it out and see how well it performs. Now, the keyboard is really one of those things that, you know, I don't expect to be an amazing long-term solution for typing. You can use your own keyboard externally if you want, but the beauty of this, of course, is the incorporation into the device itself. You can pocket the pen right here, and then I believe that the keyboard actually gets charged through inductive or wireless charging while it's seated magnetically on here. If I lift it back up, you can see it immediately goes back to utilizing the entire panel, even though some of that's not being picked up just because of the camera. So this is one continuous screen. And if we take a look at the keyboard, you can see right here, move this over, we have a charging port if you do need to hardwire it, and a power switch. So let me just see, I don't know if this is, it is now in the on position, you can see the green light. And I mean, this is part of the genius of this product. So beyond the clamshell mode, the other thing, which is all about that flexibility I've been talking about, is that when you have it in the 13.3 landscape mode, the leather back has a little flap, as you can see, so you can stand that up and use it basically like a tablet. It is a tablet, not like a tablet, but a 13.3-inch little mobile workstation, and now you can use the keyboard separately. So it's really up to you how you want to use this, and that's part of the beauty and the flexibility of a foldable display. Another thing that I'm noticing right off the bat, which is positive, is that the crease, the actual fold, has less visibility, in my opinion, than the Galaxy Z Fold 2. And that's a big deal because I think one of the biggest complaints about the Z Fold 2 is its crease and the fact that, yeah, head on, directly viewing it, it's not really that apparent, but from any angle, it is very apparent. Here, I can barely, right now I can't see it at all. I'm gonna go ahead and turn it and see if that makes a difference. It's barely noticeable. So I give credit to Lenovo. It seems like they did a better job than Samsung. And we've got pen input, which is something Samsung has yet to give us, to deliver. The question really becomes, is the new Intel hardware, plus the fact that we have only 8 gigs of RAM, is that going to be enough to drive this experience? Also, the other question is, what is battery life going to be like? I think Lenovo rates it at over 10 hours. So if we get 8 to 9, I will be very impressed. I'm also very curious to see, apparently caps lock is on. I'm also very curious to see what the pen input is like, because if the pen performance is good, that's a game changer as well. I mean, I already said we've yet to have any device like this with a folding display with pen input, and now we have one. So it'll be very interesting. I plan on getting an inking demo of this done. It won't be me, it'll be the fiance. She is the artist. If you follow my channel, you already know that. But again, this is just incredibly cool. This is not meant to give you your best bang for the buck. So for those of you who are going to comment and say, at 2,500 or 3,100, this is insane, you must not be a fan of technology. That's all I can say. You don't need to buy this, but I know there are plenty of people out there who are going to see this and say, wow, that's incredibly cool, sign me up. And I understand why. Again, it reminds me of Ultra Mobiles. That transition's pretty seamless. It does also give you the option, by the way, you may have noticed, when I took off the keyboard and changed orientation, it popped up and asked us how we want to use this one display in terms of using it as split screen displays. So very similar to, or reminiscent to what Microsoft Surface Duo does, and that's why I keep mentioning the Neo. Well, I mentioned it once, and I keep mentioning, and that's what this is going to really be a test of. The software and hardware. Now, Windows 10X isn't out yet. This seems to be working fairly well, so that's exciting, and it does go all the way, pretty much all the way flat. The leather back, I think, is nice. This just came off, so be aware of that. The magnet is strong, but, let's see. It's holding there. I wouldn't want to play with this, though, okay? When I flipped it over, it did pop off. The camera location being where it is on the side there, I get it. It's because, the ideal orientation for working on this isn't the clamshell. It's the standing up tent mode where it's full screen landscape. I do wish they would have put another camera on the external, but again, this is a laptop at the end of the day, and it is a ThinkPad. The keyboard, as I mentioned, is really small. It is already paired up. Trackpad is really smooth, but if you have really large hands, I have a feeling this is going to be a challenge. For me, it seems like it's okay. Again, it's really smooth. This feels like it's glass. I'm going to presume it is. The keyboard looks just like a ThinkPad keyboard, or I should say a Lenovo one, but things did have to get squeezed. You may notice The comma, apostrophe right there, colon, semicolon are up here under backspace, but I think that's something that you would just get used to with use. So really, at the end of the day, of course, this is a luxury, first gen, incredibly cool device, and I'm just glad to be able to share it with all of you. I remember when this was, first shown off by Lenovo at CES last year, and I just was excited that technology like this was on the way, and it's understandable. You know, we live in a world where folding phones are already on their second generation and have done a really, really good job, and I think have become mainstream, something that in the first gen I said they would become, but there were plenty of critics out there who believed, pessimistically, this was not something for mainstream consumption. I think 2020, as bad as it was, proved that the folding concept is mainstream. And remember, anyone who thinks this is too expensive at $2,500 to $3,100 needs to remember this phone is $2,000. So I don't see any reason why someone who believes in folding tech and believes in the portability and hopefully the functionality of this hardware would not be interested in spending $2,500 to $3,100 on something like this. Would I like to see this be less expensive? Of course. I think over time that is inevitable. I think you're looking at the future of mobile computing, and that's why I said it's a throwback to my old favorite, ultra mobile form factor that really has been abandoned by the industry. With the keyboard in there, you can see it's completely flush, so any gap is eliminated, and I'm just really excited. This thing is so cool. And I've been waiting for it literally since Lenovo first showed it off. Now, with the configurations, the $2,500 base configuration, I think is basically what we're looking at here. And again, this only has 256 gigs of storage, and I believe that must be the access right there for the storage and possibly the wireless radio. It is Wi-Fi 6, but you have the ability to get 4 or 5G on board, which is another nicety of this device. Clearly targeting, I would say, mobile professionals, executives. This is not meant to be in the regular workforce because, as I mentioned, this is a luxury product. This is not something people need. It's something they're going to want. And eventually, though, I do think this will be something that we need because it's going to go the same trend as with the Z Fold, that it's the only way that you can essentially make things smaller without compromising the size of a display. So the future is here. This is only Gen 1. So performance, software, I don't expect perfection, but this thing is so cool. So as I said, if we even get to 8 or 9 hours of battery life, and this, I don't expect to do like video editing with this, but if it can do just about everything a tablet would and run Windows, I really do see a large space for it. And the pen input, again, if it's good, I believe it's based on Wacom, like all of Lenovo's pen input. This thing is just really exciting and the beginning of a new generation in computing. And just to give you scale, here is, again, my Z Fold 2 and, side by side, it's just really cool. I don't know how else to put it. This is the next step, folks. And I don't recommend, even though I've yet to really get into it, I do not recommend getting this sans keyboard and pen because without that, yeah, it can be used and it is still really cool, but I think the clamshell is, a big piece of the novelty. There's that switching between how you want your data on screen to be thrown because you can control that. And that's just, I'm going to see how good the software is, how well they've applied it. But already having a true glass display and all of those things, as well as pen input, it's just really, really cool. So I don't expect this to be a barn burner in terms of performance. It's first gen, bleeding edge, expensive, but you are getting a piece of technology that otherwise really didn't need to exist, other than the fact that Lenovo knew that, and I agree, this is the future of mobile computing. So again, really cool. Up to you how you want to use it. That's part of the beauty. Changes orientation fairly quickly. Obviously, the crease is very visible there. If I power it off, let's see how visible the crease is. I'm telling you, they did a great job with the crease. And that should come across on the camera right now. I mean, this is where it should be most obvious, and I can see faint lines, but it's so much better than the Z Fold 2. So engineering here seems to be good. I think they did a good job. I'm going to have to test it, though, and tell you whether or not I think it's actually going to be worth purchasing, even as, obviously, a first-gen early adopter. But really cool. Again, there you have it. The ThinkPad X1 Fold side by side with the Galaxy Z Fold 2. Very cool times we are living in from a technology standpoint. I don't know how much cooler things can get, and not a gimmick. This is real deal next-gen tech from both manufacturers. So kudos to Lenovo. Stay tuned because an update will be coming soon. I'm just excited to start using this, and I'll likely compare this to my Tab S7 Plus as well as 2-in-1, since I still have to wrap up reviews on those. But any questions or comments, please feel free to post them. Hit that like button, and as usual, please feel free to subscribe, and please stay safe. Later.